For my Neuro3L project, I will be explaining tauopathies at 3 different learning levels. Level 1. Our bodies are made up of a ton of tiny little things called cells. Cells make it possible for you to do things like run and think. Everything that you do are made possible by our cells. We have very special cells in our brain that talk to each other so that we can do everything that we do. Sometimes when you get older, these cells start to die. And when these cells die, it makes it hard for us to do the things that we normally do. Someone with a tauopathy disease will have cells in their brain that are hurt and dying. When a lot of these cells die, it can change your body in a lot of ways. It can make your hand shake, and it can make it harder for you to walk and talk. It can make it hard for you to think, and it can make you feel sad. Level 2. Our brains contain billions of specialized cells called nerve cells, or neurons. Neurons send information to other neurons and other cells like muscle cells through electrical signals. And this allows those cells to do things like initiate movement. The ability of neurons to send information to one another also allows us to do things like formulate thoughts. They give us our senses, our ability to do things like hear, smell, see, and taste, and they allow us to feel things like cold air on our skin or when we get a cut. When neurons die, it cuts off our ability for information to be sent between neurons and other cells, and that can alter our ability to move, think, and feel properly. Tauopathies are a class of brain diseases that can lead to the death of our neurons. Now, these diseases can result in symptoms such as poor memory, depression, trouble walking, shakiness, and inappropriate behavior, like being rude or impulsive. Level 3. Neurons have structures called microtubules. Now, microtubules are important for maintaining the cell's shape, they're important for cell division, and they're important for axon extension. Proteins called tau attach to the microtubules and help to support them and maintain their function. In tauopathies, these chemical tags attach themselves to the tau proteins, and this causes them to detach from the microtubules and fold and stick to one another. Without the tau proteins, the microtubules fall apart. And with the chemical tags attached to the tau, when they fold and stick together, they form tangles inside the neurons called neurofibrillary tangles. Or NFTs. The neurofibrillary tangles cause the microtubules to collapse, blocking the transport of important molecules from one part of the neuron to another. This inhibits the ability of action potentials to propagate in the neuron and disables the electrical signals that are needed to send the messages that ultimately allow us to function the way that we do. This prevents the transport of important molecules and neurotransmitters that ultimately allow us to control our movements, our thoughts, and experience all of our senses. Tauopathies are neurological diseases that are characterized by these tau-containing neurofibrillary tangles. One of the most common tauopathy diseases is Alzheimer's, but other diseases that are considered to be tauopathies also include frontotemporal dementia, progressive supranuclear palsy, corticobasal syndrome, and chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Now, tauopathies have a relatively wide range of both mental and physical symptoms that can be developed. For example, in frontotemporal dementia, some symptoms include inappropriate behavior or personality changes, impaired judgment, and lack of empathy. In progressive supranuclear palsy, some symptoms can include things like hand tremors, uncontrolled eye movements, slurred speech, and problems with walking and balancing.